I thought it'd be a good idea to do an end of year review. I think it's good for most people, I think, to just have a little bit of a moment of reflection upon your year. It will show you your accomplishments and also show you where you can improve. And maybe me talking about mine will help people bring to perspective to their own lives. So, as always, I do achieve a lot, only because I set big goals for myself every year and I always focus on achieving them. It's almost like that becomes the focus of my year. Um, because, I can forego some things in life. But if I don't achieve my biggest milestone, I'll feel like I've wasted time. So that's what it is. So people might see things and think, "Oh, I can't believe you did that." Can't believe it's like, well, it's not that complicated once you put your mind to it. It's complicated if you give yourself every reason not to do something. Then of course it's impossible. So I was going to have to take this filter off. It's not really a big filter I have on the video. I don't like the background being so bright. So just because the color of this ain't going to work. So I think it's August, September, I released um, Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul. Normally I release books in the spring. So I normally do a book a year. But this year I was a bit busier. I can't remember specifically, to be totally honest. I had things going on anyway, but then I had a holiday to Crete in May, I think it was. And I'd other things going on before then. I had like stresses with lack of finances and all sorts of things. I was on a huge my spiritual activation. I've been on a huge spiritual journey. Towards the back end of last year, I had a very gifted medium mentoring me. We get on great, and then we went our own ways. So I was left in the dark to do things myself, which I actually quite like. To be honest, most people I think get a bit anxious and a bit. I think some people lack confidence in themselves, whereas I'm very confident in myself. So even if I come across someone who is very gifted, it might make me feel a bit inferior. But I know I have, even through them, we found it. I have very similar gifts to them. I'm very powerful. But it's me unlocking it and figuring it out. And I like to figure things out for myself anyway and do it my own way. I'm not here to just be led, if you like. So, and I share that experience, of course, through the videos I do and the books I write. So, like I say, the book come out in August. It was something I just kept delaying, in all honesty. But it was always a case of as long as it comes out this year, as long as it comes out this year, I don't care. I put so much pressure on myself every year that I released a little bit of the pressure. So I delayed it slightly, just why I kept putting it off, in all honesty. But yeah, we did the holiday to Crete was in May. It's hard for me to remember all the dots now in terms of times periods, just because things happen throughout the year. There's a lot of this year's been a lot of stresses for finances. In all honesty, there's some frustrations because I've sacrificed an awful lot. Like I've sacrificed a lot in terms of leaving a job last year that paid an awful lot of money. It was my highest paying job salary, and yet I left because it wasn't doing me any good. It was mentally, it was not stimulating me. It was destroying me. Really, I was becoming miserable, frustrated. But it was hurting my back physically, and my back's hurt all year. So that's been a problem. But I feel like I've sacrificed for my growth. But because life's been really hard in the process, it feels demoralizing at times and not fair. It's not that I don't believe in the cause or don't believe in my future. I just get frustrated in the present, thinking this is just outrageous. Like you shouldn't have to sacrifice this much and lose so much. But I feel a lot fresher now as we get to the end of the year. I feel quite fresh. I sense something big's coming in the new year. Like I think life's going to change completely for me next year. And based on this year, you would say that's absolutely insane. What gives you that confidence when you haven't had that this year? And it's not, I don't know, but everything I'm building towards pushes me there, and it's the signs I get from Source Spirit, and it's how I internally feel. I feel a huge shift coming. And sometimes you do that. You're building towards a legacy. That's how I feel. So, although I've only released, well, I'll say only, although I've released this book this year, I've also worked on other manuscripts. So, in December this year, like even just this month, I was due to release a spiritual book. But I decided after all the effort I put into the other one, I needed a break. I deserved a break. So I put it off and I said, that's not happening this year now. I'm just going to rest. I want to relax. I want to enjoy myself. So I have. And I'm going to release that in the early part of 2025, around about February, March, I expect. And like I say, this year wasn't just writing that book, it was working on other manuscripts too. So I've got about 4 books in development. Effectively, if I put my heart and soul into it, I could release 3 books next year. That's the work I've put in this year that I can make next year really productive. So that's the thing that people don't really see behind the scenes sometimes is the effort I go to. When I'm working on a project, I could be doing multiples at the same time because I throw myself into it like hell for leather. And then the books expand where there's so much work, I can turn them into multiple books too. So everything gets a bit more expansive. So in terms of books and that, it's been quite productive. And again, it builds towards the future. And it creates this legacy, as you can see, for all these books now. We've got 6, and there's guaranteed another one coming soon, so that'll be 7. And that's what I do. I focus, 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 but I still allow myself freedom to breathe when I want to breathe. When I want to enjoy myself, I'm going to enjoy myself. Like I said, I had my holiday in May. There's been different indifferences within the family, so I'm setting boundaries very firmly. And I feel like, to be honest, it feels like I wouldn't say it feels like it's supposed to happen. I know it's supposed to. I use my tarot cards. I ask the questions after. Does spirit agree with what I've just done? Now, some people won't understand any of that or believe any of that. But as I've spoken so many times, as we go into 2025, I'm not going to keep dimming myself anymore. I'm not going to keep trying to explain that side of things or try to make people comfortable. It's going to be people either come with me on my journey or they don't. I'm not going to keep playing it small anymore. So I'm not dithering. Spirit's with me all the time anyway. If people can't comprehend that, I don't care. It's not. My journey is one and the same with them, and I'm guided all the time. Sometimes they'll give me sign synchronicities. Sometimes I have an internal feeling. I feel my intuition. Other times I'll directly ask them myself through my cards or meditate, and they'll give me the answer. Recently, I asked something very specific about a video on my YouTube channel, and I was like, "Did this person like this video? Is that where that like come from?" And it was like, "Yes." I said, and then I said, well, "Is that what's going to make them approach me at some point soon?" And it was like the Lover's card. So I was like, oh, you can't pull these cards out of the hat, and I've done my whole series, which I think lends me onto this video quite importantly, to be totally honest. Let me just get rid of this. We're just going to get something up just briefly because I think it's important. Yeah, we'll just do it anyway. Right, okay. So this is my YouTube channel, and I've been working hard at this YouTube channel. That's something else I've been doing. And I've done a whole series called A Star Is Born. And that's sharing an awful lot of my journey on my spiritual development. It's 15-part series, as I wrote here. So there's 15 videos, 15 hours worth of content showing my spiritual journey and show my connection to source spirit, synchronicities, the tarot readings I do. And people can see for themselves. It's not for me to convince anyone. I'm just shining a light on it. So not only have I done my books, I've had my holiday, and there's other things in between. I've also been working heavily on video content. Now, anyone that knows my journey knows I don't give myself any recognition of video content. If I only did video content for the year, I'd feel like I've wasted my year. That's just how I feel. I don't feel I've done, when I do it, I don't feel like I've done anything because it's too easy for me. It's like you haven't even challenged yourself. If I just talk on camera, that's not challenging myself at all. This is too easy for me. It's ridiculous. And that's just what it is for me. That's not diminishing someone else's journey. It's just personal for my journey, that this is just part of it. And I think it's an important part, but I never give relevance to it. And maybe I should, because if we go to the top of my YouTube channel, it says I've got 296 videos. Now, some of them may have been in the past. I don't know. But I think a lot of them have been this year. There's been at least over 100, nearly 200 new videos. And that's only over the past few months because I only recently started taking YouTube seriously. I think back in October, maybe November. I can't even remember when. And I've been making a lot of videos. But I've also done an awful lot on TikTok. It's been crazy all year. I reckon there's thousands of videos on TikTok. There must be, because I keep pumping them out. I'm just consistent. Next year, well, tomorrow, 2025, I'm going to start being more selective with my energy. I'm going to make myself more of a commodity in the sense that I'm not going to be available all the time anymore because I'm just devaluing myself. I have a lot I can offer, but my life has been too hard leading up to now. And I value myself too much to just keep giving myself away freely to people. It's about time that my life elevated too. And that's the standard I'm setting in my life now. So it's going to be more selective of who's coming on that journey with me and who gets an audience with me. So the videos may slow down. I'm going to be working on my next spiritual book anyway. That's going to take me to February, March. And hopefully at that point, it will keep me inspired to keep creating and be creative. And hopefully I'll focus in that way because I feel like personally the video content's there. I enjoy doing it and I may feel an urge to do it, but I may rein myself in and say, look, you don't need to though. You don't need to though. You don't need to. So I may stop myself. And if we're talking about signs going into the next year, I know you could argue that's not about this year, that's next year, but it's the signs I get this year for next year. So it's worth discussing it, isn't it? Because it's still part of my review for the year. So let's discuss what I see for my future because it's the sign I get. It's not me just pulling out something out of a hat and just saying, "Oh, I think this because I want this." It's not the case at all. I've wanted this for a long time, but the signs haven't always pointed so favorably to it. For instance, last year I mentioned someone I want, like I see as my future partner, the one I intend to see to get married, is my divine counterpart. And I asked with this very gifted medium, the one I had separated from in the end. Um, I asked through them, like channeling for spirit, for the angels and things, their spirit guides, is that my person? And the person I was talking to actually didn't think it would be at all. They were skeptical, which is why they said to put it to bed. Do you want me to ask spirit? And I was like, we can. I know that's my person. I already know. I don't need someone to. I don't need someone's opinion above my own when I know it's my intuition. I know how gifted I am, and it's my life, and I know who that person is and what they mean to me. And it's a feeling that just doesn't dissipate. So if someone thinks I'm not sure, it's like I really don't care what you think. In all honesty, I don't give a shit. I know what it is to me. So you can ask spirit if you want. I know what it is. And we asked Spirit, and Spirit didn't want me pushing it because that person was going through their own journey. And it's important that I focused on my gifts and my development because I was rapidly ascending. They didn't want me slowing down. They know when it comes to that topic, it stops me in my tracks. And it's not good because they need me to focus on me and make me the priority for me rather than make someone else my priority. So they warned me if you push it, there will be consequences. They didn't explain the consequences, but there would be. And I pushed it. And this is what happened. So like last year that me and the medium went our own ways because I feel personally our path no longer aligned. They were ascending fast too, and I think I slowed them down. I think they were putting my path for a period to help me see my gifts more and open my eyes to certain aspects and new thought processes for me to follow the trail myself. And then they go on their journey anyway. And I think eventually we'd have gone our own ways, but it just happened faster. And we go into this year, which is important. Early this year, the other person who I consider my counterpart blocked me. They either deleted their social media, which I don't think they did, or they blocked me, which I think they did. Because they, unfortunately for me, when I returned to TikTok last year, around about September, October, I'd been away for over a year. I returned, I reconnected with said person, just not normal chat, and they explained immediately they were now in a relationship, which was deflating for me because I was like, I don't understand. I thought it was healing. In my mind, I'm like, you was healing. That's why we weren't together yet. You've got your journey. I didn't realize they jumped into a relationship, which kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, I know they're my person. So what are we wasting time? That really annoyed me in all honesty. And I've done videos talking on things, which maybe I shouldn't have done. And in the end, I think there was in a situation where it was a case of either try and make that relationship work or leave it and come to me. And they weren't ready to make that sacrifice or whatever the reason is. So I think personally, the other person I think probably found out about my video content or something, and they probably made them give them the ultimatum, so they blocked me. That's how I see it. I've asked a lot of questions on this through Spirit, and in the end, now I'm just leaving it alone. It's like I see it coming in, I see it happening. So I see 2025 finally, whatever they've had to go through that year to figure out where their future is. I think it's leading them back to me. So it's not that they've done anything wrong; it's just deflating for me, and it hurt. But I'm big boy. I'm big boy. I've been through enough to know there's a healing journey involved here, and we don't all heal at the same pace. We don't all do the same things. It's just you got to let people do their own thing. But I think next year, I think soon, in all honesty, very soon, I think I'm going to hear from this person. I think our future is going to be great, and I think that's going to be a big part of my 2025. I think I'm going to have a career opportunity that may require me to go abroad. Again, I get signs of this, so I think that could happen. So I think there's going to be big changes. I think lifestyle's going to improve. I think finances are going to drastically improve, like drastic. And that's what I see for myself. So what can I do in the meantime while all those things come together? Well, I can focus on my next book. Let's do that. So effectively, my big goal for the year is going to be what can I see big things for my future, but what can I control? What can I actually do? For instance, the relationship, it's going to require the person coming to me because it's not for me to reach out. They've already blocked me and they were in a relationship. The other person now has to take the action to me because I've already made my intentions clear. I can't control that. So I could sit all year and go, oh, I'm waiting for that. Well, what are you actually doing this year, though? Because you're not doing anything if you're waiting, are you? Well, no, that's nothing, is it? If I say a career opportunity is going to come, maybe it changes my life, but well, I can't force that, can I? How do I know how that's going to come about? It's just going to come. It's just going to happen how spirit wants it to happen. Okay, so that's doing nothing until that comes in. Well, that's no good either. So what can I do this year in 2025? Well, you can get your head down and get that next book out. Well, that's great because if I can get that out by February, March, effectively my biggest goal for the year has been achieved, isn't it? And that leaves me the rest of the year to have new experiences and really appreciate it. Of course, I've got other books I can release. There's things I can do. I do want a holiday. I desperately want a holiday. I've been having a holiday each year now, and I need those. This year, finances have been so tight that I have nothing planned for next year. I also have an innate awareness that anything can happen, and I don't want to tie myself into anything going into 2025 because I could book a holiday, for instance, and then a career opportunity comes up, or to say this relationship happens. So I don't want to be messing it up with something in the middle of it. I just want to be free as a bird so we can embrace these opportunities. So that's going to be what 2025 brings for me. But in 2024, I've achieved a lot. Um, the most important thing, of course, was the book. But then there's even little things, the relationship with my daughter, the constant contact. We spend most holidays, I think nearly every holiday together. And we've incrementally been improving her bedroom. It's not perfect, but there was a long period where she wasn't. Her mum wouldn't even let her come to visit me. I had to see her all the time at my mum's house. So there was never an incentive to do a room up. It was like, what was the point of focusing money and time doing this room when she may never see it? Like I said, I see my future doing bigger things. I may not be in this house for much longer. I don't know. I see myself moving away and having a much better life, one aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing, where I can help more people, but also have better quality of life for myself. So I don't see the point of investing in somewhere that maybe you won't be forever. But she's been coming home to me for the past year or so now, and it's like we've been upgrading it. So recently, I think back in the summer, or was it last year? I can't remember now, but I bought a new bed, bought a new mattress, all these things. Um, and now just recently we've upgraded put a shelving rack in there, so that looks nice. So but it's getting cozy for her. But I'm still reluctant to keep going too far because I just don't think we're going to be here. I feel this is a holding pattern for me. And like for instance, with our relationship, I sometimes wonder why is she not home yet. Spirit, like again, last year, Spirit said she has her journey, you have yours. We need more from you. I was like, okay, so it's really important I keep pushing forward to give us the life we deserve. But she also has hers, and I do recognize that when she goes home for school, because she lives with her mum, so she'll go to school where they live. Then I'll focus on my books. Let's make sure I put the time to use. I'm confident I could still do the books with her here. It'd be managing time appropriately though. Um, but once I'm on my own, I can just do everything on it when I want. So I could really just throw myself hell for leather. It's not bothering anyone. And I think that's part of what Spirit's done to me. I think they've separated me from people so I get done what needs to get done in this lifetime. So everything happens how it's supposed to, even if we fight it like crazy and think things are unfair. I think sometimes you see it from a different perspective, especially as you grow. And I'm recognizing that a lot of what's happened, it kind of needed that growth from me independently, away from people. Again, that's pushed me away from, I think, family members. And it's also allowed me perspective, see people for the value they bring to my life and what they don't bring to my life. People you think support you don't support you. They're just envious and jealous. So they gossip about you all the time. And yet you think that you think you can rely on them. Like, for instance, with my books, I have family members that will read the samples, take snippets, try to put me down, just to give them some sort of comfort that doesn't make them feel insecure. It's pathetic, isn't it? And you're thinking that's the biggest problem. It's not the fact they're doing all that, which is bad enough as it is. It's like, who actually bought my book and supported my journey? I'm not a spiteful person. I don't do things out of spite, but I do things out of integrity. So, when I say I see wealth for myself, I see myself being a millionaire. And that's how big it's going to get. I think it's going to be huge. I'm getting a lot of signs that I'm going to be on the front of magazines. You'll be in newspapers. You're going to be interviewed. All these things, and I'm saying it here now before it even happens. And it can seem absolutely mental. Do you look? If anyone looks at me, I'm not above myself. I don't get carried away with it. I just say it like it's fact. That's the signs I get. It's not. I don't feel unworthy of these things. I feel like I've already put the work in. Point is, people that have been on my journey who could have helped me at any stage, they didn't. So I won't. It's not out of spite. It's just they're not part of my life anymore. I've drawn a line in the sand. So if they ever come to me in the future and they want handouts, you're not going to get it. You couldn't even buy a book. And that's how I will always. That is how I will always interpret it. It's not about the money. It's the principle. When I was at my lowest and I really could do with some support, like I've just explained, like money has been tight, but it's been really demoralizing when you put your heart and soul into something and only you truly appreciate it. Most people have not bought the book. They've not heard of the book. They're not investing in it. They're not investing in your journey. They don't believe in you. Well, I don't stop believing in myself. So when I get to the top of my mountain, believe me, I did it myself. I never stop believing. I don't stop believing now. But when you get your breakthrough, that's when people are going to come out the woodwork and feel like you owe them something. Owe you what? Owe you what? You couldn't even buy a book. And that's how I'll always interpret it. I don't care. Someone could say, you could have millions, and someone could say, oh, could you lend me £20? I just need to pay for this. No. But why? So why, you wouldn't even buy a book, mate. You wouldn't even buy a book. Something as simple as a book. That would have helped me immeasurably. Someone bought a book and then they shared it with people they know. Think of the knock-on effect of that. And they would never do it. Why wouldn't you do that? That must just be so spiteful and petty that you wouldn't even bother to invest, But yet you want to start reaping the resources when you see it's coming in. I'm not interested in people like that. And for me, that's shown me the character of those involved. It's like, for me, it's the biggest barometer of it. You can't persuade me any other way now. Like, my eyes are too open to it. Of course, there's other nuances too. I see people for who they are anyway. I see straight through them. But for me, that would be the one thing I always say. It's not that you didn't lend me money when I needed money, because I don't ask for it. I don't like asking people for help. I just get on myself. Um, but the one thing I'll always look at is when someone could have done something, who did? And it's something as simple as buying a copy of one of my books. I'm not asking to buy every single book, but just buy a copy of one of the books and maybe just tell someone about it. That's not a lot of money, and it showed an incentive, like you cared, and you couldn't even do that. So then why should I care in the future? It's like, you got your own journey. The reality is, if I can drag myself out the trenches, I could be at my lowest and still outgrow that and ascend and create my legacy. Then other people can do something similar too, in whatever way that is. You don't need me to lift you up and do it all for you. So that's the way I'll look at it. I won't have sympathy. It'll be more like, it's your journey to grow. It's your responsibility to grow. It's not for me to carry you and do it for you. You're going to have to do it for yourself. And if you don't want to, then you're just going to sit and just feel sorry for yourself, aren't you? And that's the point. So what I talk about isn't about making people feel sorry for themselves. It's empower them. Be the hero of your life. Invest in your journey and stop expecting everybody else to do it for you, because that's what it is. People like to take the easy way out. You've got top of the mountain, so now they think, no, I can just jump on your back. It's like, you're gonna have to work on your mountain. You go over to your mountain and start climbing that. So yeah, again, it's going to be nothing to do with money per se. So when people will obviously do that, you'll see that people come out the woodwork and they'll start acting like they know you. And I've always said that people want to be very careful with that crap with me, because I'm not someone that hides, and I don't care about reputation. So what someone might feel in the future is, let's say I am in the spotlight, they might think, oh, he won't see that, he ain't going to talk about that because he won't want to damage his reputation. I don't care about reputation. I'll speak facts for the rest of my life. So if people don't want me talking on something, they better leave me alone, is the point. Otherwise, I'm going to talk on it. So if someone turns around in the future and says, oh, I know him from childhood, or I know them, or that's my brother, or that, and we've got a problem, I'm going to talk. Now it's going to give me an open door to talk about the problem, how they didn't support me, how they treated me through this situation. Oh yeah, I knew them, but there's a reason they're not in my life now. And let's discuss that, because they've opened the door. So let's discuss that. And now you wish you didn't say anything, So I always say that if you've got nothing nice to say, like, keep my name out your mouth, because you're not going to like where it's going. And I don't care my reputation at all. I've never have. It's just I'm an open book. Someone asks me a question, I'll give them a straight and honest answer. I don't lie. I don't like lying. I don't feel comfortable lying. It doesn't fit well with me at all. I don't see the point of not telling the truth. That's the thing with me. I've never ever understood it. If I tell the truth and someone has a bad image of me, then you have a bad image of me. What do I care? If I'm telling the truth, I'm just being me, aren't I? So if you don't like me, what do I care? I don't care if someone likes me or not. It's like, it's irrelevant. I am who I am. You either like me or you don't like me, and it doesn't change my day in the slightest, one way or the other. So what would be the reason for me to lie? The only reason you would lie is to try and hide something and try to seem better than you are. Why would I want to seem better than I am? I don't mind sharing my flaws, as you've seen. If I was trying to pretend I'm better than I am, why would I share my flaws? I'd act like I'm already successful. I don't say I'm successful. I say I'm proud of who I am. If you ask me, am I happy? Not particularly. Not all the time. I'm frustrated. When you worked your ass off for not much, it's frustrating. But if I was lying, why would I go down that route? Surely if I was lying, I would try and say how well I'm doing and great. I don't inflate anything. But again, I'm not here to get people to agree with me or anything. It's not my reason for doing anything. I just want to help people see the qualities in themselves and be themselves regardless of what's around them. And that starts with being honest with ourselves. Um, yeah, I've never understood the concept of lying at all, in all honesty. So what does it serve? You have to try it. The problem really is with people when they lie. I mean, I know we've gone off track a little bit here, but when you lie, you end up having to build a new character. And then you've got to try and play up to that character, which would be exhausting. Then you've got to try and remember all the little nuances to everything you said. And if people listen intently, they'll start to figure out the things that don't add up. Wait a minute, you said that. So how the hell is you saying that now? You'll always mess up. If you're telling the truth, you haven't got to overthink anything. You might have to still think of some things if it's deep into the past. You have to just recollect it, but it's there, you know. But yeah, from a productive point of view, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of video content. Done my books. Um, Done my physical library. So I've got a lot of Blu-rays, DVDs now. I've got my book collection. I've got my CDs. I've been collecting vinyl. Started collecting cassette tapes. So these little things on the side I've been enjoying. As you can see, I've done my YouTube channel, but I've also got another YouTube channel. So this one focuses on my spiritual development, personal development. I've even done like a video diary where I just talk about random things off the cusp. But I've also got my like technology one. I talk about like gaming, maybe VCR, VHS tapes. You got there'll be movies, there'll be things I still do on this, but it'll be less updated, I guess. But if I'm going to create things into the year, if I decide to stop creating content, I may push myself over to this side because it's a bit less serious and it's just me just sharing a glimpse really into things. I just want to inspire other people to maybe, I think, just take a passion and an interest in the past to an extent, like really appreciate technology. I think that's really what I want people to realize as well, to like really just go there and just have a look and realize the streaming services aren't as great as we think they are. And it's sending us down a dead end, in all honesty. That's how I feel. But yeah, like I think this year's been all about setting boundaries, to be totally honest. I think it's what I feel like. I feel like this year, 2024, has been all about me finding my confidence in myself more than ever, becoming the authority in my life, setting boundaries with people. And I think that's really important going forward because it creates a stable unit for myself from which to build. So honestly, I couldn't care less. I don't care about confrontation and things. I don't care if people make my life awkward. If I have to bump into people I've got a problem with, I just don't care. It's more of a problem for them than it is for me. If you're uncomfortable with me, then I don't care. I just don't give a shit. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. Just if people keep their mouth shut, I don't have to say anything. If they challenge me, I'm just going to speak the truth. If you're not ready to hear the truth, then just shut up. It's just simple as that. It's like I'd rather, conflict only extends to where people create it. It's like just leave me alone, and you never get a problem. If your insecurity forces you to sort of like start yapping, then I'm going to have to speak back, aren't I? And then it don't work well for people because I've got to tell them the truth, and they don't like hearing it. So like I say, I keep my circle small where people I can trust, and I remove people who are disrespectful. And I feel like going into the new year, I think that's really going to be important that I keep my circle very tight. And I get a lot of signs about moving in silence. And I feel like that's what I'm saying. I feel that urge in myself. It's not about following the signs. I literally feel it. I feel 2025, big changes are going to come. But it's about embracing those changes without publicizing everything as it happens. It's like maybe you go quiet for 6, 7 months, maybe even half the year, or like even to the summer. And then maybe a breakthrough comes and you discuss it later. That'd be cool. So like for instance, if the relationship comes in, I'm not broadcasting it everywhere. Maybe at some point people will see it when it's in a healthy stage, but it's like I want to be able to sort of go through the dating phase and enjoy it and just be with that person, not broadcasting all of it. It's like the world doesn't need to see every part of us. I've shared enough of my life through these travels. And I've said that in the past as well, that I'd never intended to share the successful side too much. It was all about the healing journey and helping inspire people to heal and grow and see what got me there. And I do really feel that the next 2025 is going to be a huge breakthrough for me. And I'll share it in bits, but I recognize if I overshare, people get jealous. It'll look like you're flaunting in the people's faces, and I'm not looking to do that at all. And I don't know. I'll always follow what spirit does. So even if I say I'm not doing this, if I feel an urge from spirit, then I'll do it, even if it makes me look stupid. My ego isn't such that I'm stubborn enough that I'll go against spirit source. So where they need to place me at any given moment, I'll be. What they need me to do, I'll do. And how they need me to behave with certain people, I'll behave. it's just innate. But I'll always ask. Sometimes I'll ask for validation and verification as well. You know, like for instance, the issues I have with my family where I've set the boundaries, Spirit's in full support of that. I ask and I get beautiful cards with it. I'm like, okay, so that's what's supposed to happen then. I'm supposed to let that happen. Right. Great. Then I have that beautiful connection. I'm fortunate I have that connection, but it's up to people to build it. And again, you'll see that through my books, how I built that connection. And then other people may too be able to build that connection. Not saying definitely could, because I just don't know what ranking people have on the spirit side and how easy and effortless it is for them, because I can only talk from experience. I'm finding out that I have a high ranking in source in spirit, which is why my elevation is going to be big because I'm supposed to have that platform. I also get a lot of signs that I'm living multiple lives in one. In one lifetime, I'm living multiple lives, which is quite incredible. And then when I look at where I've come from and where I am today and all the in betweens, it's like each of those chapters was a life. So yeah, I get it. That makes sense. I get a lot of signs. This is my last lifetime. I've lived many lifetimes and done big things in each lifetime, which is accumulating to be this opportunity this year, this lifetime, and I don't have to return. And that in itself would suggest a high ranking in spirit and source. You don't get there unless you're like an ascended master or something. You must have something big. I get goosebumps there. You know, I know I have. I don't know the ranking. I don't push it enough. I'll know when I return to spirit, won't I? And maybe they'll give me a sign later. I don't know. All I know is I've got a purpose and let's just fulfill it. So we all have soul contracts. We have things to do in this lifetime. And I think too many people get caught up in temptations, materialism, every distraction under the sun. Then when they return back to spirit source, they'll have all this checklist that was supposed to be fulfilled. And it's like, what did you do? Well, how did you do that lifetime? And so many people will fail miserably, you know, and there'd be lessons. It's not about saying, oh, you're a loser. It's to say, oh, there's things you can do better next time, you know, and hopefully you're focused, but you're just going to have to keep repeating it. So if you streamline life, you negate all those negatives, you know. So when you get back, think of all, like if I go back to source and I had a massive checklist and I managed, and a big checklist, not like little weak, silly ones. These are like big things to do. And I fulfilled all of them. That'd be quite cool. That'd be cool. I get signs of this as well, that the angels set up a lot of challenges for me and I just keep knocking them out the park. I just keep knocking everything out. Um, there was one I did earlier in the year, actually. I was asking Spirit because I was getting frustrated. I felt like I was in a holding pattern. And I asked through my cards, like, am I ascending too fast? Am I ascending faster than Spirit expected? So Spirit doesn't know what to do with me at the moment because the next thing is set for later. It isn't supposed to happen now. And it was like, yes. I was like, that's why I'm frustrated as hell, because I'm rapidly ascending and I keep overcoming challenges. The next phase isn't due to begin yet. So like where I say 2025 is huge, I think it is. But I expected that earlier in 2024 because of the work I'd put in. But Spirit hadn't set that all in motion. So everything's like a cog. Let's say an opportunity comes and you're the one that's perfect for that role, but things have to move in alignment with that. Maybe a business has to start. Maybe something has to begin. Maybe someone has to lose that position because they don't have integrity and you'll slot in perfect. Who knows what the position is and where you're going to be? Maybe the world has to be ready. We're seeing it now with all these, let's say Hollywood, these elites, where they're getting the light is getting shone on them. Well, a year ago, the light wasn't quite on them, and your platform, you wouldn't have been ready to step in because the world wasn't ready. Now, with them being removed, we're looking for more people with integrity and authenticity, people who are positive role models. Well, now maybe in 2025, I'll slot in perfect to the role that Spirit had lined for me. Again, I'm getting huge goosebumps, and I've always known that, but I get frustrated. Like, why do I always have to keep being still? Why have I keep being held captive? Let me free. But again, sometimes it's for your own safety. It's all these different reasons. But I just know that everything in 2024 has led me to 2025 in a beautiful way. But I don't waste time. So like I say, we've got this book, and then next year we're going to have the next one. So that's going to be 7. And I just feel like even the little things you don't see, and that's the thing. People, I can only share so much. I can't share my every little moment. There's days when I'm at my lowest. There's days when I feel like my head's going to explode, and I'm like, I just want to roar. And sometimes I feel like a caged lion, like you're just trapped and think the cage is getting smaller and smaller, and you just freaking just want to rip that cage off, you know? That's how it feels sometimes. And it feels like I'm just like, you're getting pushed to madness in all honesty, because you know you've got so much potential. I know I've got so much potential and I know I can do a lot of things. I'm already showing it in everything I do. So why am I poor? Why am I lonely? Why don't I have any semblance of the life I truly desire? Why do I have to suffer? But when I ask those questions, it just drives you mad because you're like, it doesn't make sense. Like I look at the views, for instance, something simple as views on social media, and that doesn't make sense. So that shows me that anybody who had done something similar would have been successful on some level, even if it's just views. So that tells me immediately that I'm being held back either by negative spirits or the angels. Either way, something's tying me down and it's stopping me being free. And I just don't think, and I'm all about integrity and justice. So that's not fair, but it's not something I can necessarily control. Because it's unfair, it actually really irritates me because I just think everybody should be given the same opportunities. And it's like, see what you can do. And I know if I wasn't energetically held back, I could be a million miles forward now. So if you think about it, if the opportunity comes and it changes my life, for instance, and I get catapulted a million miles forward, to me, it's not a surprise because I've been trying to get there for so long and being held back like crazy. Um, the analogy is within the spiritual community, they often say that sometimes you get help, you go through so much, it's like a trampoline or a spring. You get pulled back so far back that you're struggling all the time. But when you finally get released, it's because when you do, you fly so far forward. So the further forward you need to go is the further back they send you, and that's similar to what they've been doing with me. So when they finally let me loose, it's like boom, I'm gonna go so far, it's crazy. Um, and so a lot of that is going to be educating ourselves on who deserves to come with us and who's going to hold us back. Because too many people they try to keep us small to keep them comfortable. So they would rather you didn't have any of that just to make themselves feel comfortable. And it's like, I would rather let you go, thank you very much. If that's what you want to do with my life, then I don't want you in it. And you start cutting them out and elevating yourself. And I think that's fair. So I'm very strong in my decisions. So when I set a boundary, it's permanent. I don't play. So when I say someone's done, they're literally done. There's no talking around that they can do. I recognize the healing that's needed. I know how long it's took me to go on my journey, so I know how long it's going to take someone else, especially if they don't heal as fast as me, which is very unlikely they do, just because of how fast I rapidly ascend and see life. I'm very good at seeing through things quickly, you know. So if someone doesn't have that, I'm in my throat. Mm. I think somebody's trying to keep me quiet. That's weird. But yeah, maybe spirit's trying to stop me. Yeah, okay. I'll heed the advice or warning, and one whether it's positive or negative. But anyway, other people, everyone's journey is unique to them, and I'm prioritizing my journey. And if someone's supposed to be aligned with that journey, they'll come with me. If not, they have their own journey. You know what I mean? So it's not like it seems cruel, but at the same time, why does someone need to latch on to me anyway? You know, why can't they just be confident in who they are and build their own community and legacy? So, like, if we're not aligned now, we're probably not aligned in the future. If we're not aligned in the future, what's the point of wasting our time together? You know, even if it's family, you can let people go if they're not aligned with you anymore. It's fine. You can appreciate memories still. You can still say, "Oh, that was a good moment. That was a good moment." We're just not the same people. It's okay. I just don't have enough time in the day. That's part of the problem. I've got big dreams for myself, and I'm already busy now. Um, and I only ever want a small community around me, like really the family I build. That's all I want. The family I build myself. That's my family, and that's going to keep me busy enough in life with all the other projects that go on. So I don't have time for everybody else. I mean, they've never made time for me either. You know, so you can't always all of a sudden have time for me because you can gain. You know, what does that say? Um, just to sum up here a little bit, you know, my daughter done a Christmas card for people. She actually made it herself. So the time that went into that, and people didn't even say thank you or message her. Anyone knows me knows how protective I am, and you know that. It's like, okay, that's the final nail in the coffin, mate. That's just we're done now. Even if you could, because they can be really petty people with my family, you know, and they feel righteous in that. But you disrespect her, you disrespect me, but even more so because she's innocent. You know, maybe I've said some things that maybe offended people, but she hasn't. So don't act all righteous later. So that's the point, really. So yeah, if anyone even tries to communicate with me at this point from the past, it's like it's not going to happen. Um, yeah, I think 2024 has led me to 2025, of course, because it does. But it's like I think 2025 is going to be big. And one thing I want to tell people though is always take steps forward to build that. For instance, let's say my books lead me to there, but the books also create my thought process to do the videos. Well, it's an evolution, isn't it? There's still more that I do throughout the year that I don't. It's hard for me to sort of like point to every little moment. There's a lot of work that goes into things. It's not a case of he's just done that book. Because I think of the process it went to write that book. I have to put my thoughts on a page. I have to organize it. I have to format it. I have to edit it. I then have to publish it. And then an audio book. I still got to finish the audio book to that book actually. Because again, I decided just to cut off completely and just start relaxing a little bit more. Maybe too early. That'll get done though. But there's a whole process that goes into every stage of everything. Um, Me doing these videos, I've had to fine tune how I present, how I talk, my thought processes. I don't pre-plan anything, so I don't sit here with notes or anything, which I think a lot of people do. I just talk. It's easy for me, which is why I don't give myself credit because it's not really planned. It's just me talking. But as you can see here, I have to do covers, and I've tried to do it as simple as I can, so I don't have to put too much effort into it, but at least organize it, which I think I've done well. So yeah, I've been branding myself, should we say? Um, But I think more than anything, the part I don't really give myself credit for or talk about enough is I talk in snippets. It's my spiritual growth. Every year, my development is huge. I've been ascending at a fast pace. And I don't talk about that. I talk about all the other things I do, the books, the personal things, trying to uplift people, inspire them. But let's talk about this. If we talk about the spiritual growth, it's incredible. I have visions. I have things happening that I'd never experienced before. Um, yeah, I have things that happen. I'm going to discuss it a little bit more in the book. And that's going to be quite exciting. But it's always new revelations, new things happening. And I get a lot of signs right now, like a lot of signs of synchronicities pointing towards the things that are coming. And they're huge and they're great. But with great things comes envy. So it does say that you're going to have a lot of people that love you and there's going to be a lot of people that hate you. And it said at the moment there's more people that hate you than like you. I was like, oh, that's sad. Why can't people like me? Because I don't say I couldn't give a shit anyway. So it didn't. That doesn't. I'm not someone that cares about being liked. I don't care. I just care more about having a positive impact on people. And if it means they have to hate me to grow, then hate me and grow. You've got to live with hate in your life to ascend, and just do what you got to do to ascend. Whatever. It's nothing to do with me. That's the thing. It doesn't change my day. It doesn't make me feel low about myself if someone hates me. I could have the whole world don't like me, because I'm shining a light on their shadows. It's like, fine. Let me be that light then. You know. If you have to have a focal point, then I can be that focal point. Whatever. If it helps bring you peace somehow. But I never understand that people. Why can't why can't people just self-reflect and be honest with themselves without it being such a battle? Let the ego go. That's what it is. It's the ego challenges everything. The ego tells you have to be this, you have to be that, and it's like that's the thing you have to let go to finally release yourself. Could argue that's what I've released this year more than ever is the ego. The idea that you have to be right all the time. Maybe. Um, I'm always open. I'm always a channel for spirit. I could think something now and then I could learn something new later, and it's like, okay, let's adjust. It's not about being right all the time. It's like just always be open to learning. But I'd rather learn from spirit than through other source mediums. There'll be times when people learn from me, and then there'll be times when you outgrow me, and that's fine. I've found that myself within the spiritual community. There's people that I used to look up to and be inspired by, and I love their content. Now I just scroll past because I find them irritating. And that's just being honest. I'm like, that's just doing me head in. I don't need to hear this. Because some of them, for instance, they'll tell you all about your personal yourself. So they'll say, and it'd be insightful because they're telling you the truth. But it's like, I don't need things reflected to me anymore. I already know who I am. So you went through this, you've been through that. It's like, yeah, I know I have. So it's like, you're telling me nothing. Um, but it is what it is. I just think you naturally outgrow as we grow. So as you ascend, you outgrow sort of communities along the way, and it's okay. So it's like, don't hold yourself back to make others comfortable, and don't hold yourself back to be comfortable. It's like literally always growing and moving forward, and that's what I'm always doing. So 2024 was a huge growth period in anticipation for a very busy and successful 2025, but it won't all be documented, which is why I'm rambling a little bit because I've been saying for a while now that once 2025 comes, I'm going to go quiet for a while because I've got things to focus on, and I do feel big changes are coming. And this is likely to be my last video, which is why I'm trying to fit things in because it's just really important. But hopefully, it's gone some way to helping people understand that there's a lot we can do within a 12-month period, but there's also a lot you cannot do in a 12-month period. We can make excuses under the sun. Effectively, 12 months is just 12, isn't it? The number 12, it's not a lot. So 4 weeks to pretty much 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks to a month. Think how fast a week is. So you could think, oh, I've got so long till this. That always rapidly comes. Seasons, there's only 4 seasons to a year. Every season only lasts 3 months. So you start to think like that. It's like you don't have that much time, but with that time, you can actually do a lot. So I do a lot every year. Rarely do I give myself credit for it. And a lot of the time, like most people, you'll forget some of the things you did because you didn't give enough significance to it, even though even just thinking something and preparing something is work. So we can do a lot, but we can also lose a lot. So if we waste time, for instance, you could lose a season, couldn't you? You could lose spring without even realizing you just lost spring. Before you know it, you've lost summer. Now we're in autumn, then we're in winter, then we're back again. So what did you do in those periods? In those seasons, what did you manage to accomplish? Um, so it's up to us what we do with our life and what we make of each year. I'm always successful in every year because I'm always prioritizing. Could call it New Year's resolution, but I plan well in advance of a New Year's resolution. I already know well in advance what I'm doing next year. So, for instance, I already had the next book planned earlier in the year. So it's always going to come next year. I already anticipate what's going to come throughout the following year. I could make a prediction which is even more crazy. I think if people got this far, maybe they can hear it. So I think personally, I could be married by the end of next year. I'm not saying I will be married by the end of next year, but I'm saying the potential is there to be married by the end of next year. Maybe even sooner than that, which is crazy because I'm not even in a relationship and this person hasn't even reached out to me in the best part of a year. So that would be a wild thing to say. If I wasn't spiritually inclined and I had no reason to know or feel these things, that would seem outrageous. And it would only happen when it happens, if you like. But I've sort of known all these things well in advance. I'm anticipating this person reaching out to me. They're in a different country. It makes it complicated. But I can see us rapidly moving forward because it was always meant to be. And I just needed them to see it too. And then it's like, let's see how it goes. But I think it'll go beautifully. And we'll see where life takes us. Wild prediction for 2025.